We don't draw this guy normally, but it's Duck Day here at Disney California. And we are going absolutely crazy. We're going to draw the smartest duck that's ever lived. His name is Ludwig von Drake. I'm spitting all over myself. Ludwig von Drake. Are you ready to draw this duck? Yes, ah, very good, very good. We're going to start with the circle. I'm going to show you how. Lock your wrist and elbow. Let your shoulder roll around like this. Find the middle of your page, right about there, and that's where I'm going to put my circle right around that little belly button, just like this. I'm going to roll my shoulder around, about 5 or 6 times, very, very lightly. Just butterfly kiss in that paper. I can see lines that I think look pretty good and some that don't look so hot. But that's okay. I can pick and choose. And now we're going to put down some guidelines. These are a map to show us where his eyes, nose, well, he's got a bill instead of a nose, but you know what I mean. Where everything belongs. Okay? There we go, right through the middle. Moms and dads help the kids if they need it. We're going to go, I would say about 3/4 of the way down to the very side. See, that's right about here. We're going to go across like that. All right, everybody got that? Okay, we're going to give him a smile. He's a very jovial, he's very, very happy that you are here with us today. So I'm going to go right here where the circle meets this line, and I'm going to put a letter J coming down like that, and a letter J coming down like that. Okay, on the other side. Now his bill is going to go way down here. I'm going to put a little tick mark that's even with the bottom of my circle, maybe even a little bit lower. And then I'm going to bring a little hill from here to there, just like that. Kind of just shaving off a little bit of the bottom of my circle as I do that. Now the ends of his upper bill here are going to be right here. You're just going to turn this big J curve into an S curve by going whoop, boom, like that, and whoop, boom, like that, like that. I'm really starting to sound like this duck. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Ludwig von Drake. He goes back to my childhood on a show called The Wonderful World of Color. You may have heard that name before. This was Walt Disney's way of getting people to buy color televisions for his sponsor, RCA. Way back in the day. A lot of Disney history happening here with this character. I'm going to keep on drawing, though, as I tell you. I'm going to give him a little width line right here underneath this line, and above this one I'm going to draw a line that kind of goes across like this, just to show how thick his bill is. I'm getting tongue-tied here. Now, we're going to show that his smile is pushing up his cheeks by putting some little single line rainbows at the top corners of that smile, right here. And this is all looking really good to me, so I'm ready to commit. And I'm going to go ahead and lock these lines in. And I'll tell you a little bit about the wonderful man who was the voice of Professor Von Drake, one of the greatest voices ever that lived. His name was Paul Frees. And if you are a true Disney aficionado, you should know that man's name, because his voice is all over this place to this very day. Even though he died many, many years ago, if you go on the Haunted Mansion, you hear Paul Frees. He's the ghost host. And he's about 50 pirates in the Pirates of the Caribbean. And there used to be a ride called The Adventure Through Inner Space, where all the teenagers would, well, never mind. But anyway, he was the narrator on that ride, too. Don't ask me how I know. I'm going to go ahead and put some cheeks coming up over the corners of his smile here. Looks like this. There we are. This upside down letter U kind of a thing on both sides like that. Paul Frees, what a genius that guy was. And you know what else he was the voice of? The Pillsbury Doughboy. I know, go figure. The ghost host and the Pillsbury Doughboy were the same guy. That's like hard for me to wrap my head around. Wow. He was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, I want to open Professor Von Drake's mouth to give him a big smile. He's very happy to share his knowledge, his vast knowledge with all of you. I'm going to grab onto the corners of his smile and bring down 2 lines like this. Yes, just like that. And I'm going to join those together really scientifically right down here. Okay. Now, I'm I'm going to add another line. In fact, I'm just going to kind of look at this one and draw it again a little bit lower. We call this following the study line in art class. Since this is an art class, that's okay. There we go. Join those together. Now his mouth is wide open. What do you think we're going to see inside? His tongue. Correct. Let's use that center guideline. I'm going to pull a little letter B down from his bill, just like that. Doesn't come down terribly far, and it does have curved sides. That's important. Okay? Now then, let's go ahead and finish off the top of his bill. I'm just going to put a little hill right here in the middle, like that, and then join this little hill to that one, and this little hill to that one, like that. That looks pretty good. Everybody doing good so far? Yeah, you're feeling good about the bio? Wonderful. Okay, well then let's keep going, shall we? He is the paternal uncle of Donald Duck, in case you're wondering. And he was animated back in the day by some of the greatest animators, and I'm not kidding, that ever worked for Walt Disney. Milt Kahl, oh my gosh. Milt Kahl and Ward Kimball, these guys were animation royalty. And they animated some of the animation on this character. Wow, that just amazes me. That's like the Michelangelo and the Leonardo da Vinci of animation right there. Let's go ahead and get his eyes into place. Now his eyes are a little bit different. Usually when we're drawing a duck, we just plant the eyes right there in those little nests. But his are a little bit different. I'm gonna come down this way for the bottom of his eye. So it's a little bit above the bill, just a wee bit. And then up, like that. And then a curve like that. His eyes are a little different than most of our normal duck family are. I'm going to go ahead and lock all of this in. Bring those down a little bit. Now I raised them up a little bit because we want to show off his professor glasses, right? Every genius has to wear pince-nez glasses, those little glasses that grab onto your nose and hold onto it like that. Scrooge McDuck wears them too, and of course Scrooge McDuck, very, very smart duck. $80 billion worth of smart behind that duck. So let's just say, they ain't kidding. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Right below those eyes, I'm going to draw these circles in for his spectacles. There we go. Ludwig von Drake was also a talented musician. If you watched him on The Wonderful World of Color on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock, like I used to do when I was but a lad, you would see him playing the guitar, playing the piano, and probably singing a song called the Spectrum Song, which was all about the colors, all these different colors, right? If you have a collection of great Disney songs, you probably know that song because they quite often included on those collections. His pupils are a little on the small side, and that gives him kind of that wacky look. I'm just going above those spectacles a little bit with these pupils. And I'm going to make them really nice and dark, too. Okay? And then he's got those heavy eyelids. And I think the heavy eyelids probably, I imagine that Milt Kahl probably looked at Albert Einstein, who had these very heavy eyelids. And he thought, I'm going to give this guy these heavy eyelids, this genius. Okay? So right there, just a little, I'm just kind of following this curve here, going a little bit lower, and giving him those nice heavy eyelids. Right? I'm going to bring that head up just a little bit more. He's kind of like me, which is to say he doesn't have any hair on top of his head. He's got hair on the sides of his head. But one thing he has that I don't have is kind of a bad comb over. I'll add that in just a second here. I noticed that as I was really studying him, and I've been studying him quite a bit. I'm going to give him some eyebrows first, though. And his eyebrows are just a little outstretched rainbow above each eye. And then add a second, and then to make them look fluffy, you're going to go like this. You're going to add some shark fins or blades of grass. This is what we call those. Let's do that on both sides here. There we go. Right?
Einstein, again, you know, you get that wild hairdo. Einstein hat. I'm gonna go ahead and lock in the sides of his face. Now he's got maybe just a couple of hairs sticking up like that, and there's the comb over. I noticed that they would draw him with this little comb over, just a couple little hairs going across that way. This is probably the sketchiest thing I've ever done in this class, but gosh, you know what? I don't mind. I don't mind because I think he deserves it. He calls for it. So now, the little tufts of hair on the side of his head, again, very Einsteinian to me. I'm going to go up with a little thin shark fin like this, kind of off to the, you know, the upper part of his eyes, off to the side of them. And then we'll draw a bigger shark fin that comes down and then joins his cheek there. Keep it light and loose. And we're going to do the same thing to these as we did to those eyebrows. I'm going to go ahead and add a bunch of these shark fins. There we go. Yes, Walt Disney knew. Walt Disney was a man that was constantly thinking into the future. And even when TV was mostly black and white, Walt was producing TV shows for his program in color because he knew that eventually color was going to come in and black and white TVs were just going to disappear. And so when color did come along, Davy Crockett was in living color, even though he had filmed it years before. Fantastic. That guy had 1 foot in the future all of his life. There we go. That is pretty much it for Professor Bondre.